Hey everybody, it's Robert Donovan, and welcome to this episode of Tradecraft Solutions. And in this episode, we are going to take care of the surface detail for the ship, which we have here in the version we left off in part 2 of the series on how I modeled the ships from the animation I did titled The Arrival. And we're going to finish up with the surface detail you see here. We might do these guns on the front too. I believe in the last video I said I was going to do the surface detail, the guns, and the materials. I'm going to break that up into 3 smaller, shorter videos because my work hours have changed yet again. I am kind of fighting some exterior noise in the room I'm using here, so I want to make this thing as short as I can. So with that out of the way, we are going to hit H to hide this version of the ship. Let's do Control S and move this thing to the cursor. And do a numpad 3, just so we can kind of get a bird's eye view, or a side view rather, of what's going on here. All right, first thing that needs to be addressed is in that last video when I modeled the entire ship, pardon me, when I modeled the entire ship, I made a couple of beveled faces here. Let's go to edit mode here, hit the tab key, that's all I did there. And you can also go to edit mode by clicking down here on this menu. And we have here a little mistake I made. You have these faces here and this one here. And if you look at them from one angle, these things look as if they have a straight bevel on them. And if you look at them from another angle, they clearly appear flat and distorted. Blender does not handle this kind of thing well, where there's an implied triangle between in the middle of a quad. So I am going to show you how you can fix something like that right now. So let's just go to numpad 3 again, and let's turn off limit selection to visible and do Control Tab, hit the V key. Whoops, Control Tab, hit the V key. And take us into vertex select mode. So now we want to hit B to box select, and I want to select just this top part of the bridge here, or this not the hull, the part of the bridge is up from the hull. And we're going to go back about between these 2 lines here, get those vertices here, do Control I to invert the selection, and then hit H. All right, and then you've got a couple we left there, but I wanted to make sure I got all of these. So let's zoom in a bit here, select these vertices and hide those. That gets all that out of the way. And let's turn limit selection to visible back on. Now what we're going to do is use the knife tool, so hit K. And we're going to snap to that vertex. Whenever the knife tool snaps to a vertex, you'll see it has this little white outline on the outside of the red square. So left click once you see that, and we're going to make a cut between that vertex and that vertex, and then hit the E key to make a new cut. Get underneath here and do the same thing on this vertex and that vertex. Hit the E key again, and let's go Enter. Okay, that brings the face to the cut. And now let's go back to the knife tool again. Do the same thing on this. Hit E. And on the knife tool again, hit E. And hit Enter. And now what we want to do is go to Control Tab and hit the E key, go to Edge Select mode. And we want to select, in the front here, we want to select these 6 edges there, hit X, and then dissolve the edges. Don't delete them. Just dissolve them. Okay, then back here we want to select these. There's only 5 edges we want to select here. We want to select these 4 and this one in the front. Don't select this one in the back because we have stuff hidden that need those vertices. So hit X and dissolve those edges there, and now you have a nice little pointy properly beveled corner there that looks a lot nicer and will play nicer when rendered. Okay, with that, hit Alt-H to bring back the rest of the ship. Hit A to deselect everything, and hit numpad 7 to go to the top view. Sorry, I can't seem to get this frog out of my throat here. All right, so now we have to go to face select mode, and the first thing I want to do is consolidate some faces. So select this face, and this face, hit X and dissolve faces. Go over here and select dissolve verts. Make sure that's checked. Trust me, it's really helpful. All right, now then with those three, select these three faces, X and dissolve faces. The dissolve verts will stay there. And then with these three here, and X and dissolve faces. Now, pull this down here. You want to do that with these faces here too. This one and this one. Don't do this one. Just these two back here. And then go X and dissolve faces. And then this one and this one, X and dissolve faces. There we go. Okay, now with that, we can get on with making a few surface panels here. And so let's do numpad 7 again, shift, and we'll move this thing back up here. And the first thing I want to do is create the missile bay doors that are in the center here, the little E-shaped things that you may have noticed on the previous videos when I showed the full version of this ship. And the way we do that first is we hit the I key and then the Enter key. That insets the faces, and make sure you have clipping turned on. Sorry, I should have warned you about that sooner. The reason I want you to have clipping turned on now is because there's some stuff we're going to be doing later that not having it on affects. Now it's not such a big deal, but now's the time to deal with it. Okay, now because of the, when we did the inset faces, because of the way the mirror modifier works with scaling, we have to go in and do a little bit of cleanup here. You'll notice that it scales in farther on this axis than it does on this one, so go to edge select mode, select this edge, and make this about even, or about the same width. The one going horizontally is about the same width as the one going vertically. And let's go down here, select that edge, do the same thing. I'm holding the shift key down when I do this. There you go. Okay, now that takes care of that first chore. So go back into face select mode, select this inner face again, hit W, hit subdivide, and then make the number of cuts 2. Okay, now once that's done, we will go ahead and select this face, this face, this face, this face, and this face, those 4. And we will hit the I key and enter again. And now we have to go and do that same little cleanup action one more time. So now we have to select this edge. Whoops, go to edge select mode first. Select this edge, and this edge. Grab your Y manipulator there. And clean that up. Then we have to select, let's see, which edge do we want to select here? I believe we want to select that edge. Yes, the one on the top. There we go. And one last thing, let's select this edge, and this edge. Sorry, just select these 2 edges. Sometimes it's easier to just pull them down a little bit and then move them back. All right. Yeah, all right, hang on a minute here. Okay, let me go back to that and then grab this edge and just this edge. Sorry about that. And there we go. That's what we're after. Yes, good enough. Okay, now go back to face select mode and select these 4 faces, the ones we didn't select the last time. Hit I, hit enter, and that will take care of the inset. And now we have to go back to edge select mode, do the same thing again. And there is really a good reason for doing this. You'll see it in a second, I promise, folks. And as I pointed out earlier, one of the reasons that hard surface modeling can take so long is that there's a lot of tedious and time-consuming work like this involved in getting it the way you want it. And that edge there. Okay, so now that we have those, we want to, let's see here, we want to let's see. I want that a little higher. Just a touch. You may not be able to see that on YouTube, but trust me, it's important. Okay, now zoom in here, and you want to now select this middle edge all the way around. So do Shift-Alt, right-click to get that actually. Just the middle edge. Shift-Alt, right-click, Shift-Alt, right-click, Shift-Alt, right-click, Shift-Alt, right-click, and then down on the bottom here, or the front of the fore end of the shift here. There you go. Okay. Oh, actually, got ahead of myself there. One step I forgot about, this stuff in the middle we got to deal with, all of these faces here. So go to face select mode. Sorry about that. Select that face, and then these faces here. And hit XF. Get rid of those. All right, then go to vertex mode. Grab your knife tool again and make a cut connecting these two vertices right there. Hit enter. Okay, then go back to face select mode. Select this face and this face. Hit X and F. That gets rid of those. And then go to edge select mode and select that edge, that edge, that edge, that edge, and that edge. Yes, it gets it all where we want it. All right, now take the X manipulator here and just bring those in. This is where clipping comes in handy, because now that that's together, it won't come apart. Okay, and we have a couple little holes at the top and bottom here. We've got to deal with those. Go into vertex mode. Grab this. Like that. And grab that one. There we go. And that takes care of all of that. Go back to edge select mode now and do Shift-Alt right-click. Shift-Alt right-click there. Shift-Alt right-click, Shift-Alt right-click. You get the idea here. We want to go all the way around the middle edge there. Okay, so with that, let's do a numpad 3 and kind of spin this around here so we get this view. And then what we're going to do is change our transform orientation to the normals, like that, down here. And then we are going to grab Z, hit Z again, because we want to do this along with normals, and then go -0.06, and then hit the enter key. And if you tab into object mode, you'll see the missile door indentations we put in there. And so now let's tab back into edit mode, go back to face select mode. We're not done yet. All right, go to numpad 7, because we get a better shot of these faces here. And now hit the C key to bring up the paint select tool. And we want to basically get all of this here. Like that. Let's see if we got them all. Not sure we did. Yeah, we missed a few. All right, hit C key again. That one there. And now we want to hit the middle mouse button and deselect all of those so that only that part is selected there. And one last look here to make sure we've gotten all the faces there. Looks like I did. Okay, cool. Alrighty. Now what we want to do is hit E to extrude, leave it there for the normals, and go minus 0.06. Like that. Now if you tab back in, you got that little drop, so it looks like these things retract underneath that top part of the hull just a bit. You can go a little lower if you want. It won't hurt anything. But there you are. So that's the missile bay doors. Now the next thing we want to do is go back here and handle the, let's go to tab, back to edit mode, and we want to do the armor plating on the engine. So let's do a numpad 3, gets us kind of the best view for this. Hit the C for paint select, paint all of that, paint all of these, grab this one, all of these, those there, whoops, missed one there, we'll just middle mouse click for that. These little faces right here, right there, I don't bother with those. They're just, it doesn't really, you can't really see what's being done, so I'm not going to worry too much about it. And then that will take care of this. Now the first thing we want to do now is we want to extrude this out, or we want to extrude this to create some new geometry. So hit Alt E and click individual faces, and then left click without moving the mouse to get out of that. Make sure you have your pivot point set to individual origins down here before you do the next move here. And then we want to just do a straight scale. Oops. Escape. Let's do Control Z because I forgot to deselect these guys. Let's hit A. That's that. And then back over there, and we do that. Sorry about that, folks. These are the things one contends with when one is making a tutorial on the fly. All right, so now we have, let's get all of these painted in here, and because we have the mirror modifier turned on, it got the entire back end too, and that's how I want it. I don't want this face here selected. So with that, we now will do Alt E, individual faces, left click without moving your mouse to get out of that. Then we're going to do a scale 0.975, like that. And then we're going to do extrude, just like that, and go 0.1. Like that, hit the tab key to go back into, and you've got your armor plating for your rear hull on the engine. All right, so now the next thing we want to do is get the, we want to get this these side weapons array along here, which I guess technically count as guns, but we'll put those on anyway. All right, so first thing I want to do is select these faces here and go X and dissolve the faces, and then select these faces here, X, dissolve faces, and then down here and dissolve the faces. Okay, now with this, what we want to do is we want to do back to the global orientation on the transform orientation, and now we want to get, let's do extrude, scale, Z, the straight up and down global Z, and then go 0.4, like that. All right, now that will get us those faces there. Let's go here and go to numpad 7. And we will zoom in a little bit. This thing lined up where we can see it. And then grab the X and just do a G to grab, X to constrain to the X axis, and then do 0.5. Yes, that will do quite nicely. Okay, now with this face here, we want to hit the I key, hit the Enter key to inset that. And again, we have to do a little bit of cleanup on the ends because of the way this works. Hit Edge Select Mode there. Grab that edge. In the Y, move it a little bit like that to get it to the same width. Hold the Shift key down. Let's move forward here. There we are. And zoom in so you can see what you're doing. And grab this edge here. Do the same thing. There. And this just makes everything look a lot cleaner when you do this, I have found. Okay, so let's zoom out a little bit more, a little more. Okay, cool. All right, now go back to face select mode. And this face here, we want to hit W and subdivide it, make the number of cuts 2. And what we want to do here is I want 3 rows, which I have, but I want more columns, and I can't do columns. I can't do that with the subdivide tool. I got to use the knife tool for this. Fortunately, the knife tool makes this really, really easy. There's a couple of ways we can go here. You can do, you can split. Actually, we could split with the knife tool using the midpoint trick. I'll show you that if you're not familiar with it. If you hit K. If you go to an edge with the knife tool and you hold, let's say you're over here, and you hit the control key, it automatically moves the knife cursor to the midpoint, and you can then just left click and do that, and you hit E, and you've now got a midpoint going right there. So we have that. We could do that and just keep slicing the midpoint till I get the number of divisions I want. But it's a little easier. If you hit escape, you can just get out of that. It's a little bit easier if we go to vertex mode first and grab the paint select tool and narrow it down a little bit and just go through and middle mouse button these middle vertices here. And do that all the way down. Oops, hang on here. Yeah, do that all the way down like that. On these vertices here, leave these other vertices on the outside selected. And one, okay, they're selected as just the way the thing looks. All right, do numpad 3, there we go. All right, now what we want to do is hit W, subdivide, and we want to make the number of cuts 1. Well, let's see, how many do I want there? That's okay. I want to get, I think 5 might have been enough. And okay, that'll work. That's enough. Okay, so then what we do is just keep going with the knife tool here. All right, and I have just dissolved to done there because that just takes way too long and I don't want to bore you to death watching me draw lines. Okay, so with that, we have the necessary, can I just add a, no, I'm good, okay. So let's go ahead and deselect all of that, go back to face select mode. We'll just grab Mr. Paint Select tool here. Okay, we'll let's zoom in because I got this face selected here and I don't want it. There we go. Extrude along the X minus 0.2. There we go. Yes, that'll do nicely. Okay, now we will take every third face thing going on there. And we will grab X 0.7. Okay, grab X minus 0.2. There we go. All right, that gets our side arrays of weapons, and I think also on that other ship I did this kind of thing here where I did that, and we did I think I just extruded those in, so let's go extrude X minus 0.02. Okay, let's grab X minus 0.02. A little in there, just a little bit of a recess in there, not a lot. Just enough to kind of, let's even go a little bit more. Let's go grab X minus 0.03. There we go. That gets us a little more of what we're looking for. Okay, and so just a little bit of a lip there, just so it kind of looks, just, kind of inset there a little bit. But that then is the particle weapons array on the side of the ship. All right, now that we have added the particle weapons array to this thing, the next thing we want to do is create the rails going along the face here. So the face is going all the way back to the fighter bays here, and then after that we're going to create the detail on the fighter bays, and I think that will be the end of this one. So the first thing we want to do is hit I and then enter. And the reason I'm insetting all these faces before I subdivide them is that when you subdivide, you run the risk of screwing up the topology if the subdivided face butts up against a corner. And by doing the inset first, we keep everything on a flat surface, which reduces the shading errors that result from doing that. So that's the method behind my madness there. Once I've done that, though, hit W, then the S key to subdivide and make the number of cuts 2. Okay, so that's the first step. Now I have 3 rows. I want to have more columns. And the way I'm going to do that is by using the knife tool, because subdividing will cut along both sides, and I don't know of any way to make the subdivide tool not subdivide both directions. I've tried a number of ways of doing it, but it just there seems not to be a way with that tool, so we'll use the knife tool instead. Go to vertex mode, and if you know a way to do that with the subdivide tool, it would make this faster. But anyway, so we'll go to the vertex mode, and we will hit C to bring up the paint select tool, and then middle mouse to deselect the middle vertices. And then once we do that, we will use the subdivide tool, right-click to lock that in, use the subdivide tool, and make the number of cuts 2 just for those vertices. Then I'll hit the K key to bring up the knife tool, and basically all I'm doing here is snapping to these vertices. Make sure you snap to these vertices, though, when they're really close. You can, fraction of a millimeter can mean the difference between hitting and missing on this. So I'm zooming in a little bit. Enter. And so now we have that, and that's going to be the next thing. I'm going to do that on the next face here. Go like this, and we'll zoom out a little bit here. I like to have the whole face in there, so go to, whoops. Go to face select mode, and then hit I, enter. Don't have your hand on the mouse when you do that, or you're going to screw out. You want these even, and Did I not get a... What is going on there? Oh, that's what I did. Okay. I had a... There. Okay. So, with that, we go to face mode. Forgot that I'd hit that F key at the wrong time there. And here we are. We select that face. We hit I, we hit enter, and left click or, well, left clicking is the equivalent of enter. Sorry. All right, so now, sorry, I'm having one of those afternoons. All right, now WS, number of cuts 2, and vertex select mode, C to get rid of these guys, like that. W subdivide, and on this one you're going to need about 5 cuts because it's a longer face. Yes, that will do nicely, and then again, going to town with the knife tool here. And this is one. The knife tool, it kind of matters what angle you're viewing things from. So zoom in and get straight down on it. And oh, and the way I get rid of that tail end, in case you're new to the knife tool and haven't quite caught on to this yet. If I click now, I will make that a new cut. But if I don't want this connected piece to be this tail end to be a new cut, I hit the E key to tell the knife tool to start a new cut where I next left click. So that's that. So I'm going to hit the enter key there to make those permanent because I want those. And then we're going to do K again to bring the knife tool back up. And I'm just hitting E here between each. And hit the enter key there. That finishes up that one. And basically I'm just going to keep doing this on this face and this face. And last one. Face select, I enter, W subdivide. Oh, okay, hang on here. I'm going to go to edge select mode. X, dissolve edges. Forgot I Control Z'd my way back out of that, didn't I? Face mode, select that, I enter, WS. There we are. And number of cuts 2 again. Vertex select mode, C. And on this one, I think number of cuts 2 because they're the same size face as that first one. So, okay, and I have dissolved to done here because all I have done is gone through each of these faces and done exactly the same thing I did on this first one. And the idea is to make all these about the same size. For the bigger faces, you're going to need more subdivisions on the vertices. But after that, it's just you get to the number of vertices and you make your cuts with the knife tool, and there you are. So once you have all that done, go back to face select mode. And the next thing we want to do is we want to select just this middle line of faces here. So I'm going to use the paint select tool. I'm going to zoom in a little bit first. I'm going to use the paint select tool here, and we'll just go through, and actually the easiest way to do this, I think, is just to pull the paint select tool up. And I'm just middle mouse clicking here to get rid of these. Okay, now with that out of the way, we want to realign our transforms to the normal and then go grab Z twice, and then go 0.1, just to give it a little bump in the middle there. And then I want to do Control plus to select all of them. Okay, and then I want to do, let's see, I want to do an Alt-E, individual faces, left-click to get immediately out of that because it is way more trouble than it's worth. And then what I want to do is I want to scale Shift-Z twice, all right? And then I want to do a 0.9, enter, and then I want to do Extrude 0.1, like that. Tab out of edit mode and into object mode, and you'll see there what we have, like that. And that gets you your armor plating or ablative armor or whatever you want to call it on those faces. And the last thing we want to do then is let's go back to edit mode here. We want to put on the ship I have here, I have this weird kind of set of squares, and it doesn't really look like anything. But it occurred to me that if a pilot is coming into this bay, he or she is going to want some indication of whether or not they are lined up correctly with this little bay. Not so much the fighters, because they're really small relative to the size of this bay, but this ship can also take on and dock medium-sized ships. So when I was the size numbers I was giving in earlier videos, this thing is done to like 1/32 scale, so it's a huge ship. So what I wanted to do was create a little kind of centering thing. There would be some lights on that with some scanners that would, as the ship got right, the lights would indicate whether the ship was lining up correctly on that bay. So to do those, first thing we need to do, now let's go into vertex select mode, because when I consolidated those faces, I created a couple of issues for myself here. So let's grab this vertex and this vertex. Zoom in so you can see a little better what I'm doing. And we want to Alt-M, and we want to merge at last. Bring those in, go underneath here, do the same thing, grab that one and that one. Is the right one? Yes, I did. And then Alt-M, merge at last, and that takes care of that on that side. And do the same thing like that. Now we have go into face mode, get this face here, and go I, enter. And now what we want to do is let's go to vertex select mode. And we want to deselect that vertex and deselect that vertex. And then W subdivide 2, 3, like that. And then you want to select that vertex and not that one, that vertex, and deselect all of these, like so, and then subdivide S2 cuts, like that. And we're going to take the knife tool, connect that vertex to that vertex, hit E, connect that vertex to that vertex, hit E. All right, and that will take care of that, hit enter. All right, and now we want the knife tool again, and we're going to zoom in, and we're going to hit the control key. Oops, no we're not. Not yet. Forgot one little step here. In between these two vertices, W and S to subdivide, make it 2 cuts there. Now, grab your knife tool, grab this vertex, hold the control key down. That'll snap you to the middle of that edge. Hit E, and then grab this vertex, hold the control key down, snap you to the middle of that edge, hit the enter key, go to face select mode, select all 3 of these faces here, make sure your transform alignment is on the normals, and then go extrude point let's go 1, 5. Yes. And then let's grab this face here and do extrude 0.125. Like that, just a little bit smaller. And that should get you where you need to be that way. So let's also, while we're thinking of this here, let's take this, go to edge select mode, grab this edge and this edge, take your median point, or your pivot point to the median, and then go back to the global, because I like this, just works better for some reason for me. And so we want to scale Y 0.95. And then do the same thing with these two edges, and go scale Y 0.9. 0.9 is good enough. Okay, that is our first one of these. And we are now just going to go ahead and do the exact same thing. I probably should have done the cut through, but yeah, that would have been more trouble than it's worth probably. Okay, and now we're going to go back over here. We've got a couple of things that are working against us here. So with the topology and the setup's a little different on each of these. So for this one here, we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to go to vertex select mode. I got the right vertices selected here. I do not. There we go. Alt M, merge at last. That one, merge that one at last. This one we're not going to do the merge thing on because we're not going to use this face, which would be the other side of that. What I am going to do though is go to numpad 3. And what I'm trying to do is get this so that it's fairly uniform between both fighter bays. So I'm going to use my box select tool as kind of a measuring tool. And so it winds up there and there. So we're, okay, I think I can eyeball that pretty close. Let's escape out of the box select tool here. And we're going to go back into the box select tool and let's get it. Yeah, we'll put it right on that one for that side. Yeah, we'll put it on that line there for that side. That line for that side. Should work nicely. Okay, what I'm doing is mapping out where I'm going to put these vertices once I subdivide the line. So let's escape out of that. Go into face select mode here. Vertex select mode, and once again we will deselect there. Deselect all of those vertices here. Go ahead and do W subdivide, and I think this can be all the same places here, right? Yes, it can. Okay, so now we want to subdivide this top one here. Select this vertex. And we're going to have to really zoom in to get the right one here. Select that vertex. W subdivide 1, 2. Like that. Now, those vertices are not in the right place because of the difference in the length of the line. So let's go to numpad 3. And we have to use our box select tool to get an eye view, a bird's eye view of what we're trying to do here. Yeah, so this one here, right there, has to move. Whoops, did I get the right one? Yes. Shift V, and we'll move this thing about to there. Okay, good enough for that one. And then this one here, let's move just a smidgen that way. Okay, I think I'm just going to go with hit escape. And I'm going to go that vertex there. Okay, good enough. So that means we can proceed with the knifeage. Alrighty, so let's go K, E, hit the enter key to lock those in and make them permanent. Select this vertex and this vertex. W subdivide 2. Actually, this one here, I can actually just go ahead and dissolve. We'll take this vertex and subdivide those, because now when we do the knife tool, we can go here, Control key, like that, E, Control key, Enter, face select mode, select, and extrude 0.15, extrude 0.125, a little bit smaller, edge select mode, median point, scale Y 0.9. Okay, and so those are the ones on the top. We now need to put the ones on the bottom. And we're going to have basically the same distribution here. So it's actually going to be easier to place these vertices here than it was to place, because we can just line them all up with each other. So here we have that. So let's go back to the front. And we're going to put a couple like that on the bottom, just like that. The midpoint here is going to be the same on both of these, so that's good. We can use that. And it looks like, if we go to the box select tool, this thing is not far off. We need to move these guys in now, not so much the top ones out. So let's take that vertex here, go to box select, numpad 3, box select again. Okay, so that has to move good enough. And this one has to move to be lined up with that one, so there. Okay, so that's that one. All we have to do is make the number of cuts 2 and do what we did before with the knife tool. Okay, and now select those two. Go extrude minus, not minus, just 0.15. Okay, that takes care of that. Okay, so once again, we do that exact same thing. Okay, and I have just done exactly the same thing on the bottom side. I figured you didn't need to see it again, and I'm doing exactly the same moves just on the bottom. So once you have all of that in place, that is pretty much your surface detail. If we tab to the object mode, you now have the surface detail completed. So that will conclude this video, and I think in the other video I also put these on the front, or in the other model, I also put these on the front forks. Let's go ahead and bring this up and turn this one off. Yep, I did. So you've seen how to do it here. It's nothing major, and that will take care of that. I leave that last set of front fork particle weapons as an exercise for you. And that will conclude the surface detail portion of creating this model. In the next one, we're going to do the guns, and the one after that, we will do the materials. So I hope you found this interesting and useful, and may the balance of your day be awesome. That's how I did the surface detail. Thanks for watching.